Marcus and Laura, after 4 enchanting years of courtship, had decided to seal their love with an engagement. Their relationship seemed picture-perfect, with love radiating from every interaction and both families offering their heartfelt blessings. Friends admired their bond, and their future together seemed as bright as the morning sun. However, hidden beneath the surface of this idyllic romance was a secret that Marcus had been harboring for 2 long years. Unknown to Laura, Marcus had been entangled in a passionate affair with another woman, Bianca. This clandestine relationship was filled with stolen moments and whispered promises, a stark contrast to the transparent and pure love he shared with Laura. The duality of Marcus's life was a storm brewing silently, threatening to unravel the carefully woven fabric of their love story. As Laura dreamt of a future filled with love and happiness, Marcus was torn between his commitment to her and his illicit bond with Bianca. The impending wedding loomed large, a day Laura envisioned with joy and Marcus dreaded with a heart burdened by guilt and deceit. As the wedding day inched closer, a shadow loomed over Marcus's heart. Bianca, his hidden lover, had startling news. With a trembling voice, she told him she was carrying his child. The words hung heavy in the air, a stark contrast to the joy that such news might ordinarily bring. Marcus felt a storm of emotions, each one tugging him in a different direction. In that moment, Marcus saw his future split in 2. One path led to a life with Laura, filled with the comfort of familiarity and the promise of enduring love. The other led to an uncertain future with Bianca and their unborn child, a future built on betrayal and lies. Torn between his responsibilities and his desires, Marcus made a choice that would alter the course of many lives. Driven by the conviction that his child should not grow up without a father, Marcus decided to stay with Bianca. This decision, made in a haze of guilt and obligation, brought Marcus and Bianca closer together. They vowed to build a life united by their shared secret and the new life they had created. In their stolen moments, they whispered promises of forever, unaware of the heartache their union would unleash. While Marcus and Bianca forged their future, Laura remained blissfully ignorant of the storm gathering on her horizon. She continued to plan their wedding with a heart full of love and dreams of a lifetime together. Little did she know, her world was about to be shattered by a truth too painful to bear. The day dawned with a radiant sun, casting a golden glow over the town. Laura's heart fluttered with excitement as she donned her wedding dress, the embodiment of her dreams sewn into every delicate stitch. Her friends and family surrounded her, their smiles reflecting the joy and anticipation of the occasion. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, a perfect backdrop for what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. As the hour of the ceremony approached, Laura's excitement grew. She envisioned Marcus's face lighting up as she walked down the aisle, their hands meeting in a promise of forever. But as the minutes ticked by, a quiet unease began to settle in the pit of her stomach. Marcus was nowhere to be seen. The guests, initially full of laughter and chatter, started exchanging puzzled glances. An hour passed, and Laura's unease turned into anxiety. She clutched her bouquet tighter, her knuckles white against the vibrant petals. Just then, the phone rang, its sharp tones slicing through the tense air. Laura's heart leapt, a fragile hope igniting within her. With trembling hands, she answered, praying to hear Marcus's voice full of apologies and explanations. But instead, the voice on the other end of the line was somber and distant. "Laura," Marcus began, his voice barely more than a whisper, "I'm so sorry, but I can't marry you. I love another woman. Her name is Bianca, and she's pregnant with my child. We're running away together." The words struck Laura like a physical blow, knocking the breath from her lungs. The room spun around her as she tried to comprehend the betrayal, The dream that had been so close to her grasp now shattered into a million irreparable pieces. With a voice choked by tears, she managed to say, "How could you do this, Marcus? You've deceived me all this time." "I'm sorry, Laura," Marcus replied, his tone a mix of regret and resolve. "I never meant for it to be this way. I wish you happiness. Goodbye." As the call ended, Laura's world crumbled. She turned to face the guests, her face a mask of sorrow. With a voice breaking under the weight of her grief, she announced, "There will be no wedding. Marcus has left me for another woman. I'm so sorry." The room fell silent, the joyful atmosphere replaced by a heavy pall of sympathy and disbelief. Laura's family gathered around her, their support the only thing holding her together as she walked away from what should have been the beginning of her happily ever after. Little did she know, this heartbreak was just the beginning of a journey that would lead her to unexpected new beginnings. Laura's fingers trembled as she ended the call, the phone slipping from her grasp and clattering to the floor. The weight of Marcus's betrayal crushed her chest, leaving her gasping for breath. She sank to her knees, tears streaming down her face, her sobs filling the silent room. Her friends and family rushed to her side, their joyful anticipation turning to shock and concern. "Laura, what happened?" her mother whispered, kneeling beside her and wrapping her arms around her trembling daughter. Through her sobs, Laura managed to speak, her voice barely audible. "Marcus. He's not coming. He left me. He's with another woman, and she's pregnant." Gasps of disbelief and murmurs of sympathy filled the room. Laura's father clenched his fists, anger flashing in his eyes. "How could he do this to you?" he muttered, his voice trembling with suppressed rage. With the support of her family, Laura stood, her legs weak and unsteady. She wiped her tears, trying to compose herself. "I need to tell the guests," she said, her voice breaking. As she stepped into the hall, the room fell silent, all eyes turning to her. Taking a deep breath, she addressed the crowd, her voice quivering with emotion. "Everyone, I'm sorry to say that there will be no wedding today. Marcus has decided to leave me for another woman. I'm deeply sorry for the inconvenience." A collective gasp echoed through the room, followed by a heavy silence. Laura's friends and family looked at her with pity, their hearts breaking for her. Marcus's family approached her, their faces etched with sorrow and regret. "We are so sorry, Laura," Marcus's mother said, her voice thick with emotion. "We had no idea. Please know that we never intended for you to be hurt." Laura managed a weak smile, appreciating their sympathy. "Thank you," she replied softly. "It's not your fault." Still wearing her wedding dress, Laura left the venue, supported by her family. The day that was meant to be the happiest of her life had turned into a nightmare. As she walked away from the shattered remains of her dreams, she felt a profound emptiness, a void that seemed impossible to fill. Her family's home became her sanctuary, a place where she could retreat from the world and begin to heal. Her parents and siblings stood by her side, offering unwavering support and love. Her friends rallied around her, their presence a constant reminder that she was not alone. In the days that followed, Laura struggled to come to terms with her new reality. The pain of Marcus's betrayal was a constant ache, a wound that seemed to deepen with every passing moment. She couldn't understand how someone she had loved so deeply could hurt her so profoundly. But despite the overwhelming sorrow, a small spark of resilience flickered within her. She knew she couldn't let this heartbreak define her. With the support of her loved ones, Laura began to take small steps towards healing, finding strength in the love and care of those who stood by her side. The days turned into weeks, and Laura's heartbreak remained a constant shadow over her life. She moved through each day in a fog of sadness, her dreams haunted by memories of what could have been. Yet, amidst the overwhelming sorrow, her family and friends were her anchors, guiding her through the storm. Her mother, Clara, spent countless nights by Laura's side, holding her hand as she cried herself to sleep. "You're stronger than you know," Clara would whisper, her voice filled with unwavering love and hope. Laura's father, James, encouraged her to take small steps towards healing, suggesting walks in the garden and moments of quiet reflection. "Nature has a way of mending what's broken," he'd say, his eyes gentle and understanding. Laura's friends, too, refused to let her sink into despair. They filled her days with laughter and distractions, taking her to favorite cafes and organizing small gatherings to remind her of the joy that still existed in the world. They stood by her side, their love a constant reminder that she was cherished and valued. Despite their efforts, there were days when the weight of her heartache felt unbearable. On those days, Laura would retreat to her room, finding solace in the quiet and solitude. She'd wrap herself in a blanket, her mind drifting back to moments of happiness with Marcus, and she'd let the tears fall freely. It was in these moments of raw vulnerability that she began to confront the depths of her pain. Recognizing the need for professional help, Clara gently encouraged Laura to seek therapy. "It's okay to need help, my love," Clara said softly, her hand resting on Laura's shoulder. "Talking to someone might help you find your way through this." With a hesitant nod, Laura agreed. She began attending sessions with Dr. Emily, a compassionate therapist who helped her navigate the tumultuous sea of emotions. Through their conversations, Laura started to understand her grief, learning to process the betrayal and rebuild her shattered self-esteem. Dr. Emily's words were a beacon of light, guiding her towards acceptance and healing. As the months passed, Laura's strength grew. She started running in the mornings, finding a sense of freedom in the rhythm of her steps and the cool morning air. The physical exertion became a form of release, each run a small victory over the pain that had once consumed her. She joined a gym, where she met others who shared their stories of resilience and recovery, inspiring her to keep moving forward. In addition to her physical healing, Laura rekindled her love for learning. She enrolled in courses, immersing herself in studies that reignited her passion and curiosity. She found joy in the pursuit of knowledge, the act of learning a powerful reminder of her own potential and worth. Her career also took on new meaning. Determined to build a future for herself, Laura dedicated herself to her work, pouring her energy into projects that fueled her sense of purpose. She found satisfaction in her achievements, each success a testament to her resilience and determination. Through it all, her family and friends remained her steadfast support, celebrating her progress and lifting her up when the days felt too heavy. They were her pillars, their unwavering love and belief in her a source of constant strength. 3 years after that fateful day at the altar, Laura stood stronger and more confident than ever before. She had weathered the storm of heartbreak, emerging on the other side with a renewed sense of self. Her journey had been long and painful, but it had also been a journey of profound growth and healing. Laura had learned to love herself again, to find beauty in the world despite the scars of her past. She had discovered the power of resilience, the importance of self-care, and the unbreakable bond of family and friendship. And as she looked towards the future, she did so with hope and determination, ready to embrace whatever came her way. As the first hints of spring began to thaw the winter chill, Laura felt a quiet sense of renewal within herself. Her journey towards healing had been long, but each step had brought her closer to reclaiming her happiness. It was during this time of blossoming that she found herself at the threshold of a new beginning. Laura had recently secured a job at a reputable company, a place known for its integrity and excellence. The bustling office became her sanctuary, a place where she could channel her energy and focus on building a future she could be proud of. The work was challenging, but it was a challenge she welcomed with open arms. In the midst of her new routine, she met Adrian, the company's owner. Adrian was a man of impressive stature and wealth, yet he carried himself with a humility that set him apart. His kind eyes and gentle demeanor quickly earned the respect and admiration of everyone around him, including Laura. One day, as Laura was engrossed in her work, she felt a presence beside her. Looking up, she saw Adrian standing there, a warm smile on his face. "Hello, Laura. How are you settling in?" he asked, his voice smooth and comforting. Laura returned his smile. "I'm doing well, thank you. Everyone has been very welcoming." Adrian nodded. "I'm glad to hear that. If there's ever anything you need, don't hesitate to ask." Days turned into weeks, and Laura and Adrian's paths crossed frequently. Adrian would often stop by her desk to chat, his genuine interest in her well-being a refreshing change from the aloofness she had expected from someone in his position. Their conversations flowed easily, touching on everything from work to personal passions and dreams. One evening, as the office began to empty, Adrian approached Laura once more. "Laura, would you like to join me for dinner tonight?" he asked, a hint of nervousness in his voice. Laura hesitated, memories of her past heartbreak resurfacing. But there was something about Adrian's sincerity that made her want to say yes. "I'd like that," she replied, surprising herself with her own willingness. That night, over a candlelit dinner, Adrian and Laura shared more than just a meal. They shared pieces of their souls, fragments of their pasts, and hopes for their futures. Adrian spoke of his family, of the values instilled in him by his parents, and of his desire to use his success to make a positive impact on the world. Laura, in turn, opened up about her journey. She spoke of the pain of being abandoned at the altar, the years of healing, and the newfound strength she had discovered within herself. Adrian listened with rapt attention, his eyes reflecting empathy and admiration. "I can't imagine what you've been through, Laura," Adrian said softly, reaching across the table to gently take her hand. "But I see the strength and resilience in you. You inspire me." Laura felt a warmth spread through her at his words. "Thank you, Adrian. You've been a bright spot in my life since I started working at the company." As the evening drew to a close, Adrian walked Laura to her car. Under the soft glow of the streetlights, he looked at her with a mixture of hope and longing. "Laura, I'd like to see you again, not just at work, but outside of it. Will you give me a chance?" Laura's heart raced, but for the first time in a long time, it wasn't out of fear. It was out of excitement and possibility. "Yes, Adrian," she said, her voice steady and sure. "I'd like that very much." And so began a new chapter in Laura's life. With Adrian by her side, she felt a sense of hope and joy she hadn't known in years. Their relationship blossomed, built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and genuine affection. As they navigated their journey together, Laura found herself falling for Adrian's kindness, his humility, and his unwavering support. He never pressured her, always giving her the space she needed to heal and grow. And in return, Laura opened her heart to him, allowing herself to love and be loved once more. The path they walked was not without its challenges, but with each step, they grew closer, their bond strengthening with time. Adrian became not just a partner, but a source of unwavering support and love, helping Laura to see that she was worthy of happiness and joy. Together, they embraced the beauty of new beginnings, their hearts intertwined in a dance of love and hope, ready to face whatever the future held, hand in hand. As the months passed, The bond between Laura and Adrian deepened, each moment together stitching their hearts closer. Adrian's patience and kindness allowed Laura to heal wounds she thought would never mend. Yet, amidst their growing love, Adrian harbored a truth he had not yet shared with Laura, a secret that mirrored her past pain. One crisp autumn evening, Adrian invited Laura to dinner at his home. His family estate was grand yet welcoming, filled with the warmth and charm that Adrian himself exuded. Laura arrived, feeling both excited and slightly anxious, sensing that tonight would bring a significant turn in their relationship. Adrian met her at the door, his eyes bright with anticipation. "You look beautiful, Laura," he said, his voice tinged with affection. "Come in, everything is ready." Inside, the dining room was set with a simple elegance, candles flickering gently, casting a soft glow over the room. They shared a meal filled with laughter and conversation, their connection palpable in the air. As dessert was served, Adrian's demeanor shifted. He grew quiet, contemplative. Laura noticed the change and reached out, her hand gently resting on his. "Adrian, is something on your mind?" she asked softly. He looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and vulnerability. "Laura, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. It's not easy for me to talk about, but I feel you need to know." Laura's heart quickened with concern, but she nodded, encouraging him to continue. "Go on, Adrian. You can tell me anything." Adrian took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. 3 years before I met you, I was engaged to be married. Her name was Isabella. I thought she was the love of my life, the person I would spend forever with. But on the day of our wedding, she left me at the altar. Laura's breath caught in her throat. The familiarity of his story struck a chord deep within her. She squeezed his hand, silently urging him to continue. "Isabella ran away with an ex-boyfriend," Adrian continued, his voice trembling slightly. "I was devastated, lost. I fell into a deep depression, questioning everything about myself and my life. It was my family who pulled me through, who reminded me of my worth and helped me rebuild my shattered heart." Tears welled in Laura's eyes as she listened, feeling the depth of his pain. "Adrian, I had no idea. I'm so sorry you went through that." Adrian smiled faintly, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "It's okay, Laura. In a way, it's brought me to you. When I first met you, I saw a reflection of my own pain, but I also saw your strength, your resilience. It drew me to you, made me want to know you more, to be a part of your healing as much as you are a part of mine." Laura's heart swelled with emotion. She leaned forward, her voice a tender whisper. "Adrian, we've both endured so much. But look at us now. We've found each other, and together, we can create something beautiful." Adrian reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it to reveal a delicate, glistening ring. "Laura, I love you more than words can express. Will you be my girlfriend? Will you allow us to continue this journey together, to build a future filled with love and happiness?" Tears streamed down Laura's face as she nodded, her voice choked with emotion. "Yes, Adrian. Yes, I will. I love you too." In that moment, surrounded by the flickering candlelight and the warmth of their shared stories, Laura and Adrian sealed their promise to one another. Their past pains, though still a part of them, had woven a tapestry of strength and understanding that would guide them forward. As they embraced, Laura felt a sense of peace and hope she hadn't known in years. Together, they were ready to face whatever life would bring, their hearts united in a bond that was as strong as it was tender. 2 years passed, and the love between Laura and Adrian grew deeper and stronger with each passing day. They built a life filled with joy, understanding, and unwavering support for one another. Adrian's family had embraced Laura wholeheartedly, treating her as one of their own. One sunny afternoon, as the soft breeze rustled through the trees, Adrian invited Laura to a picnic at their favorite spot, a serene meadow overlooking a sparkling lake. The meadow held countless memories of their shared laughter, dreams, and whispered promises. As they arrived, Laura noticed something different. The meadow was adorned with delicate fairy lights and petals, creating an enchanting, almost magical atmosphere. A beautifully set table awaited them, complete with their favorite dishes and a bottle of champagne. "Adrian, this is beautiful," Laura whispered, her eyes wide with surprise and delight. Adrian smiled, taking her hand and leading her to the table. "I wanted today to be special, Laura, just like you are to me." They enjoyed their meal, reminiscing about their journey together and dreaming about their future. The sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the meadow, and Adrian grew quiet, his gaze fixed on Laura. "Laura," he began, his voice filled with emotion, "these past years with you have been the happiest of my life. You have brought light to my darkest days and joy to my heart. I can't imagine my life without you." Laura's heart raced as she sensed the significance of his words. Adrian stood up, reaching into his pocket, and then knelt before her. He opened a small velvet box, revealing a stunning engagement ring that sparkled in the fading sunlight. "Laura, you are my heart, my soul, and my everything. Will you marry me? Will you be my wife and the love of my life forever?" Tears of joy filled Laura's eyes as she looked at Adrian, her heart overflowing with love. "Yes, Adrian. 1,000 times yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, they both felt an overwhelming sense of happiness and completeness. Adrian rose to his feet, and they embraced, their hearts beating in perfect harmony. Adrian's family, who had been secretly watching from a distance, erupted in cheers and applause. They joined the couple in the meadow, enveloping them in warm embraces and heartfelt congratulations. That night, surrounded by the love of their families and friends, Laura and Adrian celebrated their engagement. Laughter, music, and dancing filled the air as they toasted to their future, their dreams intertwined like the vines of the meadow. As the stars twinkled above, Adrian whispered in Laura's ear, "This is just the beginning, my love. Our forever starts now." Laura smiled, her heart brimming with happiness and hope. In that moment, she knew that their love was not only a beacon of light in the darkness, but also a testament to the power of resilience, healing, and true love. Together, they were ready to face the future, hand in hand, heart to heart. As the days turned into weeks, Laura and Adrian's love grew even stronger. Their bond was deepened by the knowledge that they both carried scars from their past, yet had found solace and healing in each other's arms. They spent their days planning their wedding, each decision a step toward their future together. One quiet evening, as the golden light of the setting sun bathed their home in warmth, Adrian sat down with Laura, his expression serious yet tender. "There's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice soft but filled with emotion. Laura looked at him, her eyes full of love and curiosity. "What is it, Adrian?" He took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto hers. "I understand your pain more than you might think. I, too, was left at the altar." Laura's breath caught in her throat. She had never imagined that someone as kind and loving as Adrian had experienced such heartache. "Tell me," she whispered, her voice trembling. Adrian took her hand, his touch reassuring and gentle. 3 years before I met you, I was engaged to a woman named Emma. We had been together for years, and I thought she was the one. But on our wedding day, she ran away with her ex-boyfriend. I stood at the altar, waiting, only to be told that she wasn't coming. It was the most painful moment of my life. Tears welled up in Laura's eyes as she listened to Adrian's story. "Adrian, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." He squeezed her hand, his eyes reflecting the pain and resilience they both shared. "It's okay, Laura. That experience shattered me, but it also led me to you. When I met you, I saw a kindred spirit, someone who understood the depths of heartbreak but also the strength to rise above it." Laura felt a profound connection to Adrian in that moment, their shared pain weaving their hearts even closer together. "We've both been through so much," she said, her voice full of empathy and love. "But we've also found each other, and that's what matters most." Adrian nodded, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Yes, Laura. Our pasts may have been filled with pain, but our future is filled with hope and love. We are stronger together, and nothing can change that." They embraced, holding each other tightly, their hearts beating in unison. In that moment, they knew that their love was unbreakable, forged in the fire of shared experiences and mutual understanding. As they planned their wedding, Laura and Adrian found comfort in their shared history. They decided to honor their pasts by incorporating elements of healing and renewal into their ceremony. It became a celebration not only of their love, but also of their resilience and the journey they had taken to find each other. Their love story was a testament to the power of second chances and the beauty of finding love after loss. Together, they looked forward to a future filled with joy, knowing that they had each other to lean on through whatever challenges life might bring. After 6 months of meticulous preparation, the day of Laura and Adrian's wedding finally arrived. The air was filled with anticipation, and a sense of profound joy permeated every corner of their lives. The venue was a picturesque garden, adorned with blossoms of every hue, symbolizing the new beginnings that this day represented. As guests began to arrive, a gentle hum of excitement grew. Friends and family, dressed in their finest, shared warm embraces and laughter, all gathered to witness the union of two souls who had overcome so much. The sky was clear, the sun casting a golden glow, as if nature itself was blessing their union. Adrian stood at the altar, looking dashing in his tailored suit. His eyes sparkled with a mix of nerves and elation, his heart pounding with a rhythm of hope and love. He glanced around, catching the eyes of his family, who smiled back at him with encouragement and pride. Then, the music began, a soft, melodic tune that echoed the beauty and serenity of the moment. All eyes turned towards the entrance as Laura appeared, arm in arm with her father. She was a vision in her wedding gown, an embodiment of grace and elegance. Her face glowed with happiness, and her eyes shimmered with unshed tears of joy. As Laura walked down the aisle, memories of the past flooded her mind, moments of heartache and despair, but also of healing and newfound love. Each step was a testament to her strength and resilience. She glanced at Adrian, who looked at her with eyes filled with unwavering love and devotion, and she felt a surge of gratitude and certainty. When Laura reached the altar, she and Adrian joined hands, their touch conveying all the words they couldn't say aloud. The officiant began the ceremony, speaking of love's enduring power, the importance of trust, and the beauty of second chances. Their vows were heartfelt and sincere, each word a promise of unwavering support and eternal love. "I promise to stand by you through every high and low, and to cherish you every day of our lives," Adrian vowed, his voice steady and filled with emotion. "And I promise to love you with all my heart, to be your partner and your friend, and to build a future filled with joy and hope," Laura replied, her voice trembling with emotion. As they exchanged rings, a symbol of their endless love, there wasn't a dry eye among the guests. The rings shone brightly in the sunlight, a testament to their commitment and the journey they had taken to reach this moment. "You may now kiss the bride," the officiant announced, and with that, Adrian gently lifted Laura's veil and kissed her, sealing their vows with a gesture of love and tenderness. The crowd erupted in applause, cheers of joy and celebration filling the air. Laura and Adrian's wedding was more than a union of two people. It was a celebration of love's resilience and the power of healing. As they walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, surrounded by the love and support of their friends and family, they knew that they had truly found their forever. Their journey had not been easy, but it had brought them to this beautiful moment. Together, they stepped into their future, hand in hand, ready to face whatever life had in store, knowing that their love would guide them through all of life's challenges and triumphs. Meanwhile, miles away, the idyllic facade of Marcus and Bianca's life was beginning to crumble. What once seemed like a fairy tale was unraveling into a nightmare. Their relationship, built on deception and betrayal, was fraught with hidden tensions and unresolved conflicts. Bianca's past, like a shadow, had caught up with her. One fateful evening, there was an unexpected knock on their door. Marcus, tired from a long day at work, opened it to find a stranger standing there, a man with a stern expression and an aura of urgency. It was Simon, Bianca's former lover and the real father of her child. Bianca, hearing the commotion, rushed to the door. Her face turned pale when she saw Simon. "Simon, what are you doing here?" she stammered, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. Simon stepped forward, his gaze fixed on Bianca. "I found out about the child, Bianca. Our child. I have a right to see him," he demanded, his voice filled with a mixture of desperation and determination. Marcus, stunned by the revelation, looked at Bianca, his heart pounding in his chest. "What is he talking about, Bianca?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, filled with a sense of impending doom. Bianca tried to compose herself, but the truth was too heavy to contain. "Marcus, I didn't tell you everything. Simon is the father of my child," she confessed, tears streaming down her face. "I was scared and confused. I thought if I stayed with you, I could provide a better life for my child. But now, everything is falling apart." Marcus felt the ground beneath him shift. His world, already fragile, shattered into pieces. "You lied to me, Bianca. You used me. I left everything behind for you, for our child," he said, his voice breaking with the weight of betrayal. "And now, I find out that the child I've been raising isn't even mine." Simon stepped in, his voice calm but firm. "This is a mess, Bianca. But we need to do what's right for our son. He deserves to know the truth and to have his real father in his life." In that moment, Marcus felt a surge of anger and sorrow. The life he had built on lies was crumbling, and he knew he couldn't stay. "I can't do this anymore, Bianca. This house, this life, it was all built on deceit. I need to go back to find myself again," he declared, his voice resolute. Bianca, realizing the gravity of her actions, sobbed uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry, Marcus. I never wanted to hurt you. Please, forgive me." But Marcus, his heart hardened by the betrayal, shook his head. "It's too late, Bianca. I hope you find peace, for the sake of your child. But I need to move on," he said, turning away. Packing his belongings, Marcus left the house that night, leaving behind a life that had brought him nothing but pain. As he boarded a plane back to his home state, he was filled with a mix of regret and a glimmer of hope. He knew he had made mistakes, but he hoped that he could find a way to make amends and start anew. Back in his home state, Marcus faced the consequences of his choices. His friends turned their backs on him, and his family, disappointed and hurt, kept their distance. The once vibrant life he had known was now a shadow of its former self. Despite the overwhelming sense of loss, Marcus felt a flicker of determination. He knew he needed to confront his past and seek forgiveness, not just from others, but from himself. The road ahead was uncertain, but he was ready to face it, one step at a time, hoping to find redemption and a chance to rebuild his life. In the quiet moments of solitude, Marcus often thought of Laura, the woman he had wronged so deeply. He hoped that, wherever she was, she had found the happiness and love she deserved. And as he looked out at the vast horizon, he vowed to live a life of honesty and integrity, learning from his mistakes and striving to become a better man. In the dim glow of the setting sun, Marcus found himself standing in front of Laura's mansion, the weight of his past heavy on his shoulders. He had returned to his home state with a singular purpose: to seek forgiveness and closure. His heart raced as he approached the grand entrance, every step echoing with the memories of what he had lost. He raised his hand to knock but hesitated, his mind flooded with doubts. Would she even want to see him? Could she ever forgive him for the pain he had caused? Summoning every ounce of courage, he finally knocked, the sound resonating like a drumbeat in the quiet evening. The door opened, and there stood Laura, radiant as ever, her hand gently resting on her 7-month pregnant belly. Her eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment they stood there in silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. "Marcus," she finally said, her voice soft but steady. "It's been a long time." Tears welled up in Marcus's eyes as he dropped to his knees, overcome with emotion. "Laura, my love, I've come to ask for your forgiveness. I made a terrible mistake, and I've regretted it every day since. Please, give me another chance to make things right." Laura's gaze softened, but there was a resolute strength in her eyes. "Marcus, stand up," she said gently, helping him to his feet. "I forgave you a long time ago, not for your sake, but for mine. Holding on to that pain only weighed me down." Marcus looked at her, his eyes pleading. "I know I hurt you deeply. I left you at the altar, and I was blinded by my own mistakes. But seeing you now, I realize how much I lost. Please, let me be a part of your life again." Laura shook her head, a bittersweet smile on her lips. "Marcus, I'm happy now. I've moved on and found someone who truly loves me. Adrian and I are building a life together, and we're expecting a child. I'm sorry, but there's no place for you in this new chapter of my life." The reality of her words hit Marcus like a tidal wave. He had come seeking redemption, but he realized that he couldn't undo the past. "I understand, Laura. I just needed to hear it from you. I needed to know that you're happy." Tears glistened in Laura's eyes as she reached out and gently touched his cheek. "I wish you peace, Marcus. I hope you find what you're looking for and that you learn from this. Life has a way of teaching us the lessons we need." Marcus nodded, a sense of acceptance washing over him. "Thank you, Laura, for everything. I'll always regret what I did, but I'll carry this lesson with me for the rest of my life." As Laura gently closed the door, Marcus stood there for a moment, letting the reality of his situation sink in. He had lost her, but he had also found a sense of clarity and purpose. With a heavy heart but a newfound determination, he walked away from the mansion, ready to face the world and rebuild his life. In that quiet evening, Marcus made a silent vow to live a life of honesty and integrity, to never again let deception and betrayal define his actions. He hoped that someday he would find his own path to happiness, even if it was a long and winding road. And as he walked into the twilight, he felt a sense of peace, knowing that he had finally taken the first step towards redemption. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, life continued its unrelenting march forward. Marcus, though still haunted by the shadows of his past, found solace in the simple acts of daily living. He had moved to a quiet town where he hoped to rebuild his life, carrying with him the lessons learned from his mistakes. In the serene mornings, he would sit by the window of his modest apartment, the sunlight filtering through the curtains, illuminating the fragments of his old life that he had carried with him. He kept a single photograph of Laura, a memento from happier times, as a reminder of the love he had lost and the woman he had wronged. It served as both a token of his remorse and a beacon guiding him towards a better future. Laura and Adrian welcomed their child into the world, a beautiful baby girl named Lily. Their home was filled with the joyous sounds of laughter and the tender moments of a family deeply connected by love and trust. Laura often thought of Marcus, not with bitterness, but with a quiet hope that he had found his way. She knew that forgiveness was a powerful force, and she had chosen to forgive him not only for his sake, but for her own peace of mind. Adrian proved to be the steadfast partner Laura had always dreamed of. Together, they built a life rich with love, compassion, and mutual respect. Their days were filled with the warmth of family and the simple pleasures of life. They cherished the small moments, the whispered conversations, the gentle touch of a hand, and the shared dreams that bound them together. Meanwhile, Marcus worked tirelessly to atone for his past. He volunteered at a local community center, helping those who were down on their luck, offering a kind word, a helping hand, and a listening ear. He found purpose in giving back, in the quiet acts of kindness that slowly began to heal his wounded soul. Though the road to redemption was long and arduous, he walked it with a renewed sense of purpose. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Marcus sat by the window, reflecting on his journey. He realized that true redemption came not from seeking forgiveness from others, but from forgiving oneself and striving to be better each day. He had made peace with his past and was determined to create a future built on the foundations of honesty and integrity. In the years that followed, Marcus slowly regained his sense of self-worth. He became a pillar of his community, respected and admired for his resilience and his commitment to helping others. Though he remained single, he found fulfillment in the relationships he built and the lives he touched. Laura and Adrian's family flourished, their home a sanctuary of love and joy. They often spoke of the importance of forgiveness and the power of second chances, lessons they hoped to impart to their daughter, Lily, as she grew up. In the quiet moments of their lives, both Laura and Marcus found a sense of peace. Though their paths had diverged, the lessons learned from their shared past remained with them, shaping their futures in ways they could never have imagined. And as they each moved forward, they carried with them the enduring truth that love, in all its forms, was the greatest healer of all.